The world's most bizarre capital. In the heart of Southeast Asia lies a city so peculiar and filled with mystery that it seems unbelievable. Vast, 20-lane highways devoid of traffic, colossal temples empty with no one in sight. It is 4 times the size of London and 6 times the size of New York City, yet it is seemingly devoid of inhabitants. 2 years ago, we talked about this enigmatic city in a video on one of our previous channels, all amazed by the strangest capital city on Earth. Now we delve into the mysteries of Naypyidaw. And brace yourselves, because the more you learn, the stranger the story gets. Myanmar. Naypyidaw is the capital of Myanmar, a lush Southeast Asian country of 50 million people. You may know the nation by its former name, Burma, especially if you were around before 1989. The controversial change from Burma to Myanmar was instigated by a military dictatorship that took power in the 1960s. Many questioned the regime's authority to change the country's name, but the United Nations recognizes it as Myanmar. Absurd, I know, but so will we, and we will adapt. Let us now delve into the oddities and mysteries of the world's strangest capital city, Naypyidaw. Here is a satellite snapshot of the city, which covers a total area of about 7,000 square kilometers, several times larger than London or New York. Shanghai, a city of comparable size, has a population of 26 million, but Naypyidaw boasts less than 1 million current residents, making it resemble a ghost town, a megalopolis frozen in time, reminiscent of a post-apocalyptic movie. You may wonder what the point of such a city is. Will it be in an advanced state of decay and overrun by nature? Absolutely not. Despite the presence of an airport that can accommodate millions of passengers, there are only a few hundred people on peak days. Extravagant luxury hotels dot the landscape, with empty swimming pools and many rooms untouched. The only visible inhabitants are the diligent army of gardeners and sweepers who still keep it alive. You may wonder, why? For whom are they keeping this megalopolis in order? It is clear that something is missing. Naypyidaw differs from a post-apocalyptic city in one crucial respect. The capital is meticulously maintained by this dedicated workforce. Even the stores have their staff diligently at work. In 2015, 2 Guardian journalists explored the city, reporting that they visited a jewelry store crowded with dozens of employees, but completely devoid of customers, immersed in complete silence. Who are they continuing to work for? Since 2015, the population has increased modestly, but Naypyidaw remains an intriguing enigma, a capital city that continues to conceal its mysteries. There is another place where signs of life can be found. The city is home to the Myanmar Parliament, a vast complex characterized by opulent and indistinguishable structures surrounded by fences and moats. Approaching this complex proves difficult, with soldiers stationed all around. However, one may ask, who should they really obstruct when there is a conspicuous absence of people and potential threats? There is speculation that these maximum security buildings are connected to an underground network of tunnels running through the city. North Korean engineers are said to have played a role in the design of these tunnels, although verifying these claims remains nearly impossible. Given the eccentric nature of Naypyidaw, these rumors would not be so far-fetched. Are we being too conspiratorial? Well, let us go ahead and decide with your own ears. In addition to the ministerial zone, the city houses a military zone, a hotel zone, a residential zone, and others. In the residential zone, buildings have colored roofs indicating the occupation of the occupants. Blue roofs indicate Ministry of Health workers, while green roofs indicate Ministry of Agriculture workers. However, most of the housing is empty. These parts of the city are developed awkwardly, with no coherent structure or order, as if disparate parts had been assembled haphazardly without thoughtful planning. Locating a city center in Naypyidaw proves arduous. It is like navigating a chaotic and arbitrary maze. The layout of the roads compounds the perplexity. They are unconventionally laid out and difficult to navigate. Take, for example, this 20-lane highway within the ministry area, which connects haphazardly to a much narrower road. If it were a route for 20 lanes of traffic, it would inevitably create traffic jams. The planning appears senseless and out of whack. Adding to the confusion are the bizarre and extensive traffic circles found nowhere else in the world. Fortunately, the absence of cars prevents these traffic circles from becoming congested. 1. located in the middle of a 16-lane highway, stands out for its unique decision to build another road that bypasses the traffic circle, only to intersect the highway at a 90-degree angle. An impractical and dangerous maneuver on a 16-lane highway. To the east is a wide 16-lane highway that resembles an airplane landing strip from an aerial perspective. Coincidentally, it is located between a military base and military zone. Some of these roads present significant dangers to motorists, particularly the infamous Highway of Death that runs south of Naypyidaw, plagued by fatal collisions since its opening in 2010. Along this dangerous route, a sign inexplicably written in English serves as an ominous warning or dark joke for motorists, often the last thing they see before a fatal accident. Naypyidaw has other special features, such as the seemingly imposing Upatasanti Pagoda, which is actually a replica of a structure in the old capital Yangon. Although it was designed as a Buddhist monument, monks were not allowed to approach it during the official inauguration. Only politicians and military leaders were allowed. At every corner of Myanmar's capital city, elements of perplexity abound, prompting the question, why was Naypyidaw built? Naypyidaw was built years ago by the same controversial military dictatorship that not only changed Burma's name to Myanmar, but also left a legacy of violence and death. In the 1960s, when the regime seized power in a military coup, a student protest at Yangon University resulted in a violent crackdown. The death toll is not known, but hundreds of students were shot. Moreover, the regime firmly resisted elections until 1990, and even then, when the military won only 10 out of 492 seats, it annulled the results and arrested opposition politicians. This brutal and violent dictatorship is the driving force behind the creation of Naypyidaw. The exact beginning of construction remains unknown, shrouded in military secrecy, but satellite images suggest it began around 2002. 3 years later, the city was named Naypyidaw, meaning home of kings. Evidently, military leaders felt confident of its importance. The total cost of building the city amounted to $4 billion, an expense that might seem modest for a city of its size, but was substantial for a country that at the time had a GDP of less than $10 billion. Given Myanmar's socio-economic challenges of poverty and inadequate access to education and healthcare, they were beyond a slap in the face to the people and their poverty. However, the military regime has shown that it does not give a damn about these pressing problems. The current status of Naypyidaw as a singular, desolate megacity adds an additional layer of frustration, underscoring not only the significant financial investment but also its enormous waste. The city stands as a haunting reminder of a regime's insane priorities, leaving observers to ponder whether the government's intent was to create a phantom megacity from the start, or who knows what other intent. The Dark Master Plan. If this story already seemed absurd to you, get ready for an even stranger twist. Before Naypyidaw, the capital of Myanmar was Yangon, a coastal city with a population of more than 7 million. Originally designated as the national capital during the period when Myanmar was part of the British Empire in 1852, Yangon served in that role for more than 150 years. However, the Myanmar dictatorship deemed Yangon unfit for its purposes. The official rationale was clear. Yangon was struggling with overcrowding. Its population exceeded the capacity of its infrastructure. The regime wanted to start over in a newly built city that offered more space and better urban planning. However, many skeptics dispute the official explanation, arguing that the military's motives behind the construction of Naypyidaw were far more enigmatic. According to numerous experts, the regime was concerned about Yangon's growing population. Fearing that a large-scale riot might break out in the city, the government anticipated that it would be difficult to defend against a multitude of civilians at once. The student protests at Yangon University were just one example, and a prelude to the possible future uprising. So the government sensed that it was only a matter of time before these protests could escalate into something much more significant and unstoppable. Fearing precisely a chain reaction that would cause the regime to collapse in on itself, they could not allow that. The regime also had concerns about a potential U.S. naval attack from the Bay of Bengal. Although such an attack seemed unlikely, it was not entirely discarded. The US government, critical of the regime, still referred to the country as Burma in official documents, rejecting the name Myanmar. Given past US interventions in Southeast Asia, particularly in Vietnam, the military regime opted to relocate the capital to a quiet interior region. This move would have made it less susceptible to popular protest and much harder for the United States to strike. The city's strategic positioning between two mountain ranges, the Bago Yoma and the Shan Yoma, provided a natural defensive barrier. Inside the city, they erected a heavily guarded government complex, complete with fences, soldiers, a river or moat, and supposedly secret underground tunnels. Perhaps intentionally, the rest of the city remained relatively empty, minimizing the risk of a popular uprising. Even with a gradual increase in population over time, wide roads facilitated defense against potential protests. Some theories suggest that the 20-lane highways could be secret military airstrips, allowing rapid airplane landings in different corners of the city to guard against potential riots, an impractical option in Yangon's narrow streets. The intrigues do not end there. Some speculate that the city's haphazard layout is actually a deliberate choice to be able to hinder and give no landmarks to possible insurgent groups and hinder the march of protesters, while the meticulously clean streets could prevent the construction of barricades. Even the infamous Highway of Death, connecting Yangon to Naypyidaw, could be a deliberate defensive measure. It should be remembered that none of these theories have been officially confirmed by Myanmar's military dictatorship. While the official explanation cites administrative reasons and a desire to escape traffic on Yangon's congested roads, a city as unique as Naypyidaw surely requires a more complex and nuanced understanding, right? Naypyidaw today. In 2015, the regime reluctantly agreed to conduct another democratic election. Although it lost again, it acknowledged the election results. For a while, Myanmar seemed to experience a period of relative détente. However, in 2021, the military executed another coup, taking control and throwing the nation into chaos. Since then, a civil war has broken out, characterized by continuous conflict between opposing factions. The epicenter of this conflict is Yangon, the country's most densely populated region, where protests and clashes persist. Meanwhile, in the heart of the country, Naypyidaw remains empty and undisturbed. Military leaders, seemingly safe from the chaos, are shielded from ongoing actions. Is this a mere coincidence or a deliberate fortress long sought? The answer remains unresolved and will continue to foment speculation and theories from experts, journalists, and writers. We have tried to give you an unbiased account of the situation, but now it is up to you. Feel free to share your thoughts on why this city was built in the comments below. We thank you for watching and look forward to the next video.